I wish in the future I can travel to India again and see you in person, right? So I'm an organizational psychologist. I studied a long time ago. I'm almost 42 now. So in my 20s, I studied. And after that, I've been very passionate about finding out how you can have high-performing organizations, high-performing teams, and high-performing individuals, what you need to do. And from my perspective, it's very important to utilize the talents that you already have. I see a lot of companies focusing on what needs to be developed. Of course, it's always very good to look at what you can develop, but mostly we sort of forget what we already do really well. And that's what's my mission is, to really humanize the workplace. And my focus is to help organizations, teams, and individuals by doing so. So if you look a little bit at the structure of this talk, I'm going to tell you why it's important to know and use your talents. I'm going to show you how you can find your deeper talents, what little things you can do already, right? So that you have some takeaway points from this, this talk on your Saturday afternoon. And why context matters when you're searching for a new job. So hopefully I can give you a lot of tips, a lot of inspirational thoughts in maybe your search for a new job, or maybe your search for how can I utilize my potential even better where I'm working right now, right? So let me just start off with a little video. Did you all see that? Yeah, let me just show you again. So sometimes we think we already know it all, right? And we have this mindset about ourselves, and we're like, well, I already know it, and this is me, and this is my profile, and this is how I work. And I would like to invite you from this talk to look broader than that, because, well, things can change or be different. And let's find out what that is for all of you in your potential search for a new job. So discover your talents and use them. I think that is the most important thing that I could tell you this afternoon. It's really, if you don't know what your talents are, if you don't know who you are at a deeper level, then you know, it's very, very hard to find a suitable fitting job that will make you happy. So discovering that is really important. I got a message from someone I coached for a while last year, and he texted me this week that he was so proud of himself of how he handled something in the boardroom. And this is a guy who is really interesting. He has a profile of being able to look very at a conceptual view. So he's really a visionary. He knows from a technical perspective where things need to go. And at the same time, really able to also look at the details and really focus on what the details are and what needs to be done to get the job done. And that's really, really great that he has that. So he is actually within his organization, someone that, if you look at utilizing his talents, is essential to bring to the boardroom, because well, not everyone can see that strategic view of where something needs to go to. But this coachee is really good in one-on-one contact. And a boardroom is a room of 6, 7, 8 people that all have their opinions, but also, well, their own stakeholder management, right? So what we really talked through during the sessions was how he could utilize that potential. So we first discovered that these were his talents, that he was able to combine the strategy with the details, and that he was really, really good in one-on-one contact. So now he texted me, he said, well, I was in this board meeting and it went a little bit not so great, But what I did is I drank online right now in the Netherlands, some online cups of coffee with different board members. And that worked out so well. I had a second board meeting and it went brilliantly. So discovering your own talent profile will really help you to become successful, and knowing how you can play with that is key in my opinion. So I talked a little bit about what I see, right, with coaches or organizations, but what are the facts? So of course, this has been investigated, and the Corporate Leadership Council did this. And they actually researched 19,000 employees over 30 countries. And they actually looked at what happens to performance when you utilize the talents within an organization. So when you really know what everyone's talents are and you really are able to play that game. So let's do a little bit of a hand raising game. Who thinks the increase in performance was 10%? Can I see some hands if you think so? Now, who thinks 20%? 20% increase? Yeah, a couple of hands. 30%? Yeah, more hands? Anyone 40% or higher? Any hands? Yeah, cool. So it was a huge increase percentage, 36.4%. So that's more than a third increase in performance if you use your talents. That's a really, really big amount, only by doing that. So what happens when you look at your talents and you use them? So just the example that I gave you about this coachee that I coached last year, he had these talents. So maybe his strategic thinking and his detailed thinking was about a 7. Now he's using them for the organization. So now it becomes a 9, right? His grade goes up because he's using them. The organization is benefiting from it. So yeah, that's how it works with that performance increase. So the other way around was also researched. And I wonder what you think happened with the performance. It decreased, but with how much percentage? So if you don't use the talents that are there, but you focus on what needs to be developed, that's your conversation with yourself and with your employees. What do you think happens? How much decrease is there? 10%? Who says 10%? Who says 20%? A little bit more? 30? 40 or more? Anyone? Oh, no, more hands coming. You see a 26.8% decrease. So that's a quarter of your performance that goes down the drain, basically, because you don't use it, right? So it's important to use your talents not only for your organization, because of course an organization loves high performance, right? But especially for yourself. Now, how can you find out what your talents are? This is very interesting to look at, right? How can you do this? Well, of course, this is not something that you sort of snip, snap, and then you know it, and then you're done. This is a process. But let me just give you a little bit of a theoretical view and then a personal story to go with that. So if you look at the Johari window, I think it's always a really great theoretical model on personal development, on finding out more about yourself, because that's what it's all about, right? And if you look at the left part, this is the open part. This is known to you and known to others. So this is your sort of corner. And it's a great corner to be in, but it's also a comfortable corner to be in. What actually is really interesting, if you look at finding out more about your talents, is to look at the blind spots. What others see in you, but you don't see in yourself. And this is, I see this every day again, and I can give you a little bit of an example of myself. So years ago, when I started my studies, there were some people that gave me feedback about, well, you have high energy. And I didn't really get it. It's like, so normal to me to, I've been working with 5 different customers this past week. I'm here on my Saturday morning and I don't feel tired. I feel very energized and excited to be here. So it's really normal to me. It's nothing special. But I got this feedback, and along the way, more and more people were saying to me, well, Marjolein, listen, you have this contagious kind of energy that a lot of people like. So you need to use that and utilize that. And by getting that input, I really got way more insights in my blind spot. And I really think that a lot of talents that we have are actually inside our blind spot, because it's quite logical, right? What's very normal for you is very exceptional for someone else. And talents that are so easy for ourselves, well, we don't really think about it, right? It's just an automatic thing that you're energetic, or that you are always able to find all the details and information, or that you're always able to connect with other people, or whatever you do, it's an automatic thing. But listening to what other people are telling you, but better yet, asking other people for input is essential. It's essential in your personal path of growing. And what happens is, because you get feedback, you get more input, your little square grows, right? Now, if you want your little square to grow and you want others to give you information and input so that you can work on your personal development in search of your new job, it's also really important to share. And that's the part about self-disclosure. Because if I don't share anything about myself with you, then how can you ever give me feedback about what I do well? If I don't tell you anything, or if I don't show you anything, then other people cannot think along with you, right? They can't give you the input. So you need to also be aware that it takes courage, and it also takes vulnerability to in personal growth, to discuss these things together. And of course, you can think about, who do I trust to do this with, right? You don't have to do this with the whole world. Although I actually, when I was traveling through India, I found very many people really, really open when I talked to them. I loved it, by the way, have to go back. But you can choose, right? So you can start with one of your best friends, or your partner, or maybe children that have already grown up. I mean, children are this immense source of information, because as they grow older, when they're younger, they think you're the hero, but then they grow older and they start thinking about, well, this is kind of strange what my parents are doing, or this is kind of weird. So all this information is so valuable, so golden, and you're still in a very comfortable space, right? So as you are working on both of these arrows, feedback and self-disclosure, then you'll see that you have a shared discovery in the unknown. Things that you didn't know, that other people didn't know. And this is how you can work on your own talent base, get more information about who you are and what your talents are. Okay, so if we take a little step deeper, I would like to give you a little, and this is more difficult to do on your own. But I just want to give you some inspiration, okay? Just to get the minds flowing on a Saturday afternoon. Because what I think is really essential is to look at the deeper talents. This is what I work with my coachees, with my teams, with my organizations. Because what happens? Okay, let me just ask this group, who of you is results oriented? Can I see some hands? Whom of you is results oriented? Yeah. So that's almost the whole group. And I get it, because, well, you're all military, right? So you have to be results oriented to get the results done, to work hard, to really work for your country, India, right? So this is sort of a no-brainer. So this is what I call a low resolution talent. Just like a picture, if you have a low resolution picture, it doesn't say that much. You sort of see something, but it's sort of blurry and it doesn't tell us a lot. But I can tell you now, if you would really deep talent mine your talents, it would make a difference between all of these people that were raising their hands, what kind of results oriented they are. So maybe some people are very competitive. And there's really there's nothing wrong with being competitive. Maybe for some people, it really helps to have a competition with another team. And then, they're really excited to get the results achieved. And other people, they want to get results done maybe with other people together. So on their own, they're not so result oriented. But if you give them a couple of buddies, colleagues that they can collaborate with and work on a project, then they go. They love that. That gives them a lot of energy. So finding out what makes you tick in this very thing called results oriented, this example, finding out what makes you tick when you're being results oriented actually helps you also in finding a new job. Because if you are a competitive person, you need to work in a competitive environment. You really do. And it doesn't need to be necessarily a competitive organization, because also within an organization, you have different departments, and these departments can differ all along. But you do need to find out in your conversations with your future organization, you need to find out what their profile is as well. Because when you do that, then if you can utilize your potential, yes or no. Right? So if you look, but then if you look at, you want to do things together, you need a different kind of view, a different kind of profile. So when you have your job interview with your potentially future manager, asking these kind of questions is actually quite essential, because I've really seen very, very talented people not doing so well because the organization, the context didn't work well for them at all. If you want to do everything together, but you are working for a company that's really individualistic, then it's not going to work out. You won't be happy. Okay, so this is important. Finding out your deeper talents, really, there is a methodology to it. I hope you get some inspiration out of this. And of course, if you have any questions, we can also sort of collaborate on that this morning, maybe even a little bit, but this is a difficult part. It usually takes me 2 sessions with a coachee to find out what a deeper profile is. Okay. I already said it, right? Context really matters, where you fit in and where you bring value. And it's, I think, essential to think about it if you have the luxury to do so. If you need money now, well, then you just got to go for it. But if you have the luxury, or maybe have a certain skill set that is very great for different companies, and you have the luxury to choose between different companies, then you can really look at the context for sure. And there is something that I would love to talk about with you this afternoon. And that's about the life cycle of a company. And this is actually quite important to realize, because the life cycle of a company asks different talents, but also different types of people. And knowing where you fit in is important to realize. So if you look at the startup, startups have low structure, high on energy. You need to be very, very flexible. This is all about innovation thinking out of the box, being extremely adaptable, and having a very, very strong will. Because in a startup phase, You will hear no more than yes. So you need to be able to work with that. And if you know that that's not going to work for you, or if you realize that, well, basically, you know, if I hear no twice, then I get insecure, then that's not going to work out. You need to be very, very strong-willed in a startup if you want to survive as a startup, because the survival rate is really, really low. Then if you get to the next life cycle of a business, you get into rapid growth. And here you get more input about setup of teams. The energy is high. There will be more result orientation. And people that like to sort of grow the field as a matter of speech. So you have your field, and now you need to think about where you're going to build your farm, where you're going to build your crops, where you're going to do all that stuff. If you like that, then a rapid growth kind of organization fits you well. There's still a lot of insecurities. There's still, not everything is set. So you need to be a builder. You need to like to do that. Then we go to the third stage, that's maturity. So maturity is a stage where a lot of things are set. So the processes are clear, the agreements are clear, a lot of things are already in place, and people that like structure and people that like, well, a good overview of things, they will like that maturity stage. And it's important to know this. Here, you can also find more bureaucracy, because companies are getting bigger. So, you know, if you have a lot of processes in place, it can take a little while to get there, right? To take that step. But of course, if you like that from your profile, and you like that it's set in place, and that you can sort of continually improve things, but it won't go as quickly as to when you work for a startup, but that's fine. Then this is a really great stage to be in. And also be aware that there, of course, are companies that will go into decline, right? It's a life cycle of a business. Businesses go, businesses come and they go. And it's good to find out also, whenever you're working for a company, to find out in which stage is this company, and where are they going to? Because you will have companies that go, well, towards death. And death sort of sounds really harshly, but it's just the truth. There are, every day there are companies that don't make it. And people, you do have people that actually do find that phase very inspirational. Because if you look at that phase, it's really important to be both very result oriented, because you need to close the door, but you also need to manage your people in a very, very humane way. That's a very important job. You need to still motivate people, although they know that the door is going to close. You need to finish all your caseload. So how do you do that? And if you like to do that, think about that, inspire people that way, and then close the door, then that's actually a really good phase for you. But you can also have rebirth within companies. This is different than a startup situation. A startup is, we have a very new idea, and a rebirth is, we already have a company and we need to tweak it. We need to go to the left, or we need to go to the right. So you do need innovation and creativity skills there, but not as out of the box as what you would need in a startup situation. So could I ask someone, in which life cycle of a business is the military of India, do you think?
Yeah. I think it's maturity.
Maturity, yeah. And why?
It's going to be that stage all the way. I don't see
Sorry?
I think that it's in the phase of rebirth.
Rebirth.
Yeah. because there are changes in technology, the changes in the way wars are going to be fought, and we have to adapt. We have been largely an defense service which is traditional, and time has now come. If we don't adapt, we will not be able to take the challenges which are coming in.
Wow. Yeah. And any other points of views?
I think it should be, we would like to think it is in the growth cycle.
So sorry, it should be
Growth.
growth. Rapid growth.
I think
That's right.
I would go with a combination of rebirth and growth, because since there is rebirth which is happening as we adapt to technology, and like what Shirish sir just said about adapting to technology and moving on, and letting go of a certain baggage that we've been carrying, and reinventing
Absolutely.
ourselves. So as rebirth happens, I'm sure growth is going to be rapid in more ways than one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you can get from the one to the other. Yeah, I understand. Really cool insights, really cool to think about it, right? And also what you can contribute to that in these different stages of a company. And also to discuss it together, like where is this company exactly at? And you already noticed that there are different opinions about it, right? And there isn't always a clear answer to it. Also clear different points of views, and discussing that is actually quite interesting also. Yeah. Okay, so context matters. Oh, there's also something else that really matters when you're looking for a new job. So we discussed your talents. How can you find them? We discussed the life cycle of a business, but there's something else that's also really important. To really to talent map your talents with the job that you're looking for. Because there's no such thing as one job and then it always fits. So let me just give you a couple of very concrete examples here. So if you look at sales, you would probably say, well, there's one sales profile and that's that. And, you know, we're happy with that. We know you need to be competitive. You need to be very, very results oriented. You need to be a people person as well. So that's sort of the sales profile. But within sales, you do have different phases where I see when I help sales teams, I do see a difference in what kind of profile is needed in what kind of phase. So if you look at the first phase of a sales process, this is the phase where you need to open the doors and where you're going to hear no a lot. So you need a high will. You need sort of this naive, positive attitudes that you really don't care how many people are going to say no. You're just going to keep on going. You're going to keep on doing it. And these are usually also people that love to network. So they love to do things like what I'm doing this afternoon with you all. They love to go to network meetings. Well, due to COVID, of course, we don't have them as much physically, but of course online. So these are people that get really a lot of energy by doing that. If you look at the last phase of a sales process, now this is interesting. Now you want to close the deal, right? You've done all this work, you've done all this groundwork, networking, maybe you've showed the product to the customer, you made your proposal, now you need to close the deal. Now, at that point, maybe you need a different profile, depends on the customer. If this is a tough negotiator and it's about a lot of money, I don't think you really want that very social, positive, optimistic person doing your negotiating with this customer, right? Maybe you want someone that's, well, very prone to conflict, that also has the guts to walk away and say, listen, for this amount, ain't gonna happen, buddy. We're not gonna do this. So this is a very, very important thing to realize, that when you think, you know what, after the military, I want to go into sales, there are different stages of this sales process where you need different talents, and you need to realize this. The same goes, for example, for project management. Of course, you can look at a profile of a project manager and you would say, well, this person needs to be structured and very analytical and a little bit of people person, being able to coordinate things maybe, but it really does differ per project or program. What kind of skill set, what kind of talent set is essential to bring to the table? So maybe you're running a very big program within a maturity company where bureaucracy is high. Well, then stakeholder management is something that you need to be really, really good at. And maybe those details aren't really that important, or maybe there's someone in your team that can manage those details while you are managing all these stakeholders at once. But if you're working on maybe a financial project where everything needs to be very, very accurate, then a high level view won't get you anywhere. You need to be very detailed focused, and you need to love to look at the details and really be precise about it. So also, whenever you're applying for a job, it's essential to also look at the description of the job, but also to talk it through so that you really know what your starting point is, and if there is a match between you and the job, the potential future job. Okay, so let me just give you a little recap, and then we still have time for questions, anyone who has them. So I told you that to find a suitable job, it's essential to know your talents at a deeper level. And I gave you some tips on how you can already do that from, well, this evening, if you're seeing someone maybe, or a family member or a friend. Making a match with the context of the company is really important. And thirdly, thinking about the jobs at hand and when they will and won't fit you really helps you in your search for a job as well. So basically, also be critical from your side. The future organization will be critical, right? They're interviewing a lot of people, but you can be critical as well, as long as you know what you can do, what your talents are, and where you fit the best. Yeah, so I wrote down my email address. I think phone number is probably from India, not so easy, but if you have any questions also later on, you can always reach out to me also through LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. But for now, does anyone have any questions for me?
So, Ms. Marulan, thank you so much for taking us around with this bit of a journey on how to discover yourself. We have two questions already put in here. So one is from Priyadarshi. He says, Priyadarshi, would you like to repeat your question?
Yes, my question was quite simple. Generally, throughout the career, we have been working in teams. There's never been a case where we have been given an individual task, and either we are heading the team or either we are part of the team. So sometimes we have been successful and sometimes we have been not. Sometimes the job has been done very well, sometimes not. So how do I find that if I'm a good team, should I go for an organization who can put me in a team? Will I be functioning well? Because throughout my career, I've been working in small teams. So how do I find what is suitable for me?
Yeah, because you're actually saying you worked in teams and sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't, right?
Yeah, my question was that I've always been working in a team, but sometimes I have done well and sometimes not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically.
Yeah, so what he's saying is that in military, we largely only worked in teams, and that's all that we've seen actually. Sometimes it has worked, sometimes it is not. So should we go ahead and join another place where it is like a teamwork, or should we explore something else?
Yeah. So what's actually a very interesting question is why it sometimes does work out well and why it didn't. Because just to give you an example, if you are really a team player and you really want to collaborate with others, but you have a team of very individualistic souls, then it's going to be very, very difficult. So finding out sort of more about what kind of team members work for you, what you like, is really crucial. The other thing that I also would like to note out is that because, well, I help a lot of organizations, and what I do see is that it's not always, of course, about the team members, right? It's also about the manager and how teams are being managed and if the potential is being utilized. And it does happen a lot that teams don't function very well because their potential isn't being utilized. Because also for yourself, you know, I've known this. I've also worked within teams in the past as a team member, and sometimes it worked out and sometimes it didn't. And it is kind of crucial that I found out that with team members where I clashed with, right, that really annoyed me. I was like, oh, horrible person working with. This is an energy drain. I don't want to work with this person. If you sit down with this person and actually find out where the annoyance is, you can, usually these are very complementary people. So also finding out if you're working within a team and it's not working out, sitting down with a colleague and having this discussion like, oh, when you do this really irritates me. This probably also tells you something about yourself. It tells you something about the other, but also about yourself. And there is an ambition there to find out how you can use your talents together to strive, because usually where you have an annoyance with each other, there's a learning possibility. And if you can get through that, then, you know, it's all for the best. So I have a long answer for you. Sorry. I think three things are important. First is to find out when does it work out and when doesn't it, and what do I need? Second is to find out what kind of manager actually works well with me, what type of manager. And the third is to know and realize that I haven't seen a team ever where everything always goes smoothly. And where it doesn't go smoothly, it's the communication that you have together and the investigation that you have together why it doesn't work out. That's going to make you high performing. If you don't and you leave it, then you get a very underperforming team.
Raj, can you please mute, please?
Thank you, Marilyn. I got your point. I got the message.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question.
So, Ms. Marilyn, I think what he's saying is primarily where it doesn't work out is where the analysis lies, and where that's a good point of analysis. We have a question from Adish, who wants to ask that you mean persons who has been in people management role cannot do an individual contributor role? Is that a given, that if he's been a people management, he should not go for individual contributor role?
Sorry, if he's a people manager?
Yeah, if he's been in a people management role, then he cannot do an individual contributor role.
Then he cannot do what kind of a role?
Individual contributor role.
Yeah.
Shaurya, can you mute Raj, please?
Yeah. No, I understand the question. Yeah. So if you're a true people manager and you love to coach people to find out how you can utilize the potential of your team, of your organization, and that's something that you really, really love to do, then being in a very individualistic role can be a bit of a challenge. What I have seen though, and that is interesting, sometimes your profile can change a little bit. What I hear a lot of people that are getting older say, and I don't know if some of you recognize this, I do a little bit, is that they want more peace and quiet now that they are getting older than when they were younger. So some things can change a little bit, right? But if you are someone that is very passionate, like like me, for instance, I'm very passionate about people. I'm really passionate about coaching others. I cannot even imagine that I won't be doing this job for the rest of my life until I die, basically. And if you would put me in a very individualistic role, like, okay, here's your report and you can make that and you don't have to discuss it with anyone else and you just sit in that corner and be quiet, well, that would be horrible. So there is a fine line, but I do see some managers that have been excellent managers, that they feel the need to maybe go back to their base and not manage for a while, and because it's also it can be tough, right? Being a manager, you never really do it right. There's always someone who thinks you do it wrong. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks, Manju.
I think it does, but what I gather from these two questions are that a lot of times since we are transitioning, we have only seen one part of the world. So like both the questions are that we've been with the teams, we've been managing teams. So one really doesn't know whether there is a hidden talent or a better match when you exit. I think question also lies in how does one figure out, because you've seen only one kind of, you've seen only red or you've seen only green. You don't know whether you know like yellow, purple or orange or not. So how does it identify that? And I think question lies in, answer lies in some of the things that you already covered about Johari window, taking assistance from people to figure out what you don't know about yourself, maybe finding out some friends who can reflect upon you, probably some of that. Is that it, Ms. Marlin? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, talk to other people about it, or even find a coach if you're really struggling with your next step. I even like, I am a coach, but I also have my own coach, because that I visit from time to time, because it's just good to stay strong, to stay focused, to reflect on yourself, and to keep growing all the time. We never, the older we get, the less we know, right? That's just the fact. So we need to be very focused on ourselves. So yeah, for sure, Captain Vinay, thanks.
So, Ms. Marilyn, the next question is from George. He wants to ask, can you please give me some pointers towards finding the match between one's talents and the position on offer? Do we only rely on the job description, or are there any other ways?
Yeah. I would say I of course am giving you tips from the Netherlands. So I'm not very, I don't work from India with people that are finding a new job, but the tip that I always give Dutch people, and I don't know if this will work in India, but always call ahead. First of all, a lot of people don't. So if a company has a pile of 50, 60, 70 pieces of paper, then you make that piece of paper personal, because you're taking an effort in giving them a call. And when you call them, you can already ask them certain questions that you've prepared that are important to you. So you have that job description, but to be quite honest, job descriptions are usually so high level that, you know, they always look for, well, in Dutch, you would say a sheep with 5 feet, right? It's impossible. You can't have it all. And so finding out what's essential to them, because a lot of companies realize that they're never going to find that person, that sort of, I don't know, super talent that has it all, because it doesn't exist. So having that call and finding out what are great pointers for them, things that they find really, really important, then you already know, you get a lot of information. You're in their head. Your name is in their head somewhere. And you already know if it's going to work out, because also giving a company a call, for example, you're going to call 2 companies. One company, you don't get the person that you need, but that same day you do get that phone call back, and they give you time to ask your questions. The other company, you call them up, the person's not there, they say, yeah, they'll call you. You don't get calls, you wait for 2 days, you call again, and then finally you get called and they have 5 minutes for you, and that's that. So everything is information, everything. And this is already a very, very key point of information about how a company treats people that potentially are going to work for them. Okay, so, and then it doesn't mean that I'm saying, well, that second company, don't go for that. Go for it, but put it in your head. Think about it. Everything's information. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Ms. Marilyn, you'll indicate to me what is the time available. We have taken kind of an hour. I think we can take another 15 minutes.
Yeah, we can take another 10 minutes and then I actually have to prepare for some friends coming over, but for sure, yeah.
I thought so. So we'll just take these 4 questions that are already put here and we can rush them up if required. So what is the importance of company culture towards helping one realize his own talents? This is a generic question. You could probably throw some light on that and then move on to the next one.
So, sorry, what a company culture?
What is the importance of company culture towards helping one realize their talents?
Yeah. Oh, what a great question. I could talk for hours and hours about this one, but I won't. Okay, what's really important, where it all starts, it really does, is leadership. If I can work with leaders, with managers, with board members, and I can get them to a point where they are being vulnerable, where they want to look at their talents, where they want to have that uncomfortable conversation with each other, where they clash and they really look at why are we clashing, then I know that I can do anything within the organization. If managers or board members or team managers are unwilling to do so, but they ask me, Marjolein, I have some teams and oh, they're not doing so great, but they're not doing the work, then it's never a success, never. So that's my very short answer to that one. Yeah.
The next question is, to what limit should the difference in idea between team members be accepted without affecting the individual talent or capability, as working in such a team diminishes the zeal and further weaning of talent?
So to what?
So what he's saying is, to what extent should you compromise for working in a team and your personal orientation, because the combination of two is a kind of a compromise. To what extent should you compromise?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question as well, because of course you have your personal talents and likes and passions and things that you want to do, also values, what drives you, but you have to work with your team, right? So you have to look at how you can do that. Now, first of all, what I really look at and what I find out in almost every team that I coach is that the distribution of team activities is usually based on everybody needs to do the same thing. Now, if you look at that, then it's sort of a pity, right? Because if I am not a detailed thinker, but I have to spend 20% of my time on very, very detailed activities, but my colleague loves details, is really good at that, why not switch a little bit? Why not? Because probably some things that I'm really good at and really love doing, my colleague doesn't. So first of all, you can look at that. Then secondly, what you always will find out is that every team has certain activities that are not so popular. It's just a thing. You just, you have things that need to be done. And if no one wants to do them, then you need to look at an equal distribution. So you will never have a 100% fit anywhere. It just won't happen. I always say, if you have a 70% fit, then probably you're fine. You'll have energy, you'll feel fine. If you have a 30% fit, it'll be difficult for you because somewhere it will sort of not go so great.
So
does that answer the question?
Hi, Anand. Is that good?
So it's good, sir, but this barometer of 70%, Marolin, this barometer of 70%, I mean, there is nothing tangible that can define 70%. So what am I looking at when we say 70%?
Yeah.
What are the indicators?
I can totally imagine that. When I help teams, I do a talent mapping session with them. And that's how I can see what the overlap is in the percentage when we remap that. But for yourself, that will be a lot more difficult. So maybe for yourself, the question should be, I think, am I happy enough or not? Maybe that's the question. Because we all have days after a working day that you feel like, oh my goodness, this was a very, very long day. And this was no fun at all. We all have them. And it's not going to be like, if you know your talents, that you're always going to find. It's just like a marriage, right? I mean, it's not like with my husband for the last, since Udaipur, we have not had one fight and it's only great. And it's just, no, you have ups, downs, you have, you know, an amazing life together. But at the end of the day, there's one question, and that is, am I happy or not? And the same really goes with your relationship with your company. Am I happy or not? And if you're not happy, it's interesting to find out what doesn't make you happy. And then it's interesting to find out, can I control this or not? Can I influence it or not? Am I missing things? Am I really utilizing my potential? Am I speaking up or not? And these are the questions that you can ask yourself. It's more of a vague answer now, but does it answer your question? Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. So next question is from Kanal Shirish. The question is, are there any suggested questions that one needs to ask in order to explore our talents or attributes possibly unknown to us?
So are there any questions that you need to ask to find those hidden talents?
Yes.
That is an excellent question. I think I've learned the most in really conflict situations, to be quite honest. The very, very uncomfortable, I don't really want to have this conversation. I feel really, really unhappy here. Maybe I even really dislike this person. These are the conversations that have brought me the most insight. At my lowest points, I've learned the most. So not to sort of search for every day a lowest point, but I think it's not even the question itself, but it's a situation that you're in. With a friend, if you ask a friend for input, that's a comfortable setting, right? Your friend won't put you down. Your friend will lift you up for sure. To go to people that know you less, or to go to people that you don't like at work and asking them, okay, how do you see me? What do I do good? Or how do you experience me? Those are that's where you get a lot of input.
So is that good?
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yep.
Great. Thanks for that question.
So we have a next very interesting question, Ms. Marilyn. So we have a defense officer who wants to be a stand-up comedian, right? So he wants to ask, we hear that follow your passion. What if the passion is a theater, stroke, stand-up, etc.? But these might not be well-paying initially. Is it advisable to jump into such a field, or do it as a hobby initially till one establishes himself?
What a great question. Yeah. Do you have a job right now? Would be my first question.
Yes, I do. I'm still serving in the Navy.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So with switching, well, of course you can do, you do have two choices, right? And it depends on your profile also. If you're a little bit risk averse, or if you like to take a risk, right? But there is this one saying, and that says, don't quit your day job just yet, if you start something very, very different. And this does apply to people that are like, well, you know what, I do need money to, well, buy food for my family, pay for my house and stuff like that. So if I quit my job now, and I'm unable to have an income for the next 6 months, then, you know, I'm going to have a lot of stress. Now, stress is it's actually a positive thing for us, because with stress you build endorphins and adrenaline, and it gets you focused. This morning before my talk with you, I wasn't stressed, but I felt this little bit of, yeah, here we go, right? So I'm focused, and this is a good experience. Too much stress is not a great experience, because if you experience too much stress and you also realize it's negative stress, then it will get you into a panicky mode, and you won't be able to use your talents. You will get from maybe competitive to very pushy, or from a detailed focus talent, you won't even know where to start anymore because you only see details. Or from a conceptual thinker to vague. That's what high levels of stress do. So I would say have a plan ready for, first of all, do I want to take a risk, and can I take a risk? And how long can I take that risk? Do I have savings for half a year? Do I have savings for a year? How long? So with other words, which period of time am I going to give myself to give this a shot? Because I'm going to switch it up. And the other thing is, if you say, well, okay, now that you're saying this, I'm quite risk averse and I don't have any savings, so I think I'm gonna keep my day job. Then it's really essential to have a plan for yourself at hand, how you're gonna take that step, how you're gonna make the time to make this work, right? So if you have a day job for 5 days in a week, let me just give you an example. You need to block time to build your repertoire, to have time for, doing your work, to have time to maybe start off by giving one of your sessions for free, and just inviting family, friends, and maybe all these lovely people that are here today, and sort of finding out if your repertoire is funny, and what people like, and how you can sort of tweak it. But you need to invest the time in it. So if you have your day job, create the time and really push yourself that way, because otherwise it won't work. Does that answer your question?
Harvinder?
Thank you. You really answered. It cleared a lot of haziness. I was lost a bit, but then you answered it precisely the way I wanted to hear it. Certainly, I would start the way you said it. I'll keep my day job and should work a little harder on my weekends, and maybe invite some of the people here in the panel to my shows, in case if they get to laugh, possibly others will also do.
Absolutely. Sambhav is there and all the things.
And
thank you so much for the answer. Thank you for the answer.
You're so welcome. We could all use a little bit of a laugh in this COVID time, right? So I think what you're going to do is essential to this period, because everyone's done with COVID now and we need some better times. Great.
So, Ms. Mayolan, do we have a question for one last question?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. So the last question is from SK Pandey. How do we look for talent which is in the blind spot, as in Johari window? And he says that this largely applies to all of us in military, because we've kind of remain in only one kind of a profile, one kind of a structure, one kind of life, because the aim is to find out our hidden talents before we transition to CVs. That's the way we can benefit the most and face the challenges in uncharted territory.
Yeah. I can totally understand. You were in a certain space of work and way of working, and yeah, that's how do you sort of widen that before you take that step? That's basically the question, right? I would say find people that are not in that space to get to know you, spar with, find out how they look at you outside of that space. But I also think that inside of the space, I mean, I don't know if this is true, but I can totally imagine with the work that you're doing or used to doing, this is very, very important work. This isn't sort of something that is, well, a job that you're like, yeah, okay, this is important work. So if you work together, I can imagine that the bond within a military unit can be actually really big, because you have this mission together and this big accomplishment that you need to realize together. So I wouldn't discard that. I would also use your camaraderie, your connection within the military force to look wider, but at the same time find people that are outside of that bubble to give you input. And even maybe I don't even know if the foundation does this, but I think what really helped me during my whole life, I always look for mentors. I always do. And even now, I have a successful company. But I always have mentors, people that I look up to, that can guide me along the way, that can inspire me, but that can also challenge me. So getting that outward view, getting someone of a mentor within a corporate environment, within the environment that is outside of you. So for Harwinder, someone that's already a comedian, that's already there, that's successful, reach out to that person. And I can tell you, since I have my own company, I've been reaching out to a lot of people. A lot of people are reaching out to me. I think LinkedIn is an extremely great networking ability to use. And you'll be surprised at how many people want to help other people. Even with a half an hour, just an online talk, it's not a lot of time. And so find out what kind of mentor you're looking for, and then try to find a person within your space, or maybe even the foundation can help you with that, to mentor you and to widen your perspective.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marulan. Answer to your question, does the foundation do that? We are in the stages, early stages, but yes, we have things lined up on the mentorship part also. That's one. Regarding a talk on the LinkedIn and how we can explore that. So guys, here is the real proof. Me and Ms. Marulan got connected on LinkedIn, and she's not only given us half an hour, she's given us 1.5 hours. And I'm sure this relationship in some format will continue. Some format, we know that it is not a transactional relationship, and she's in another part of the world, and it's probably not possible the way we want it or we would like to have it. But I'm sure with the connections and maybe periodic reach back again, things will go on. So LinkedIn is a great place. I completely agree. And Ms. Marulan, I know that we've exceeded the time. To start with, thanks a lot for being here. We thought of making a slightly more structured presentation, talking a little about you, a bit about foundation, and then starting the session. But technology can be sometime deceiving. Good thing is we are all still here. The session is on. And thank you so much. This has been very, very insightful. I'm sure this gives us some thinking points. Broadly, what you said was that one needs to know himself. One needs to know the kind of organizational fit, that kind of a structure. One needs to figure out what are your passions, hobbies, and what kind of job, sales, etc. that you look at. You need to look at a lot of support from people around you who can talk to you about that blind zone. Maybe people who are known to you, people who are unknown to you. Because people who are known to you get used to you. Sometimes you need a new reflection. And of course, getting connected, and maybe something like this foundation, Sambhav Kadam Foundation. We already starting on the journey, so we will take this forward. We'll always reach back to you. Maybe one or two participant would like to, somebody would like to say a word of thanks quick. Anyone? Yeah. I think Colonel Shirish is the one. Yes, Colonel Shirish, please go ahead, please.
All of us would like to convey our sincere gratitude and thanks to Marulan and to the Sambhav Kadam Foundation for an excellent talk. It was an eye-opener to a very large extent. And thank you for those wonderful answers that you have given to our questions. Grateful for your time. And we definitely look forward to an evolving relationship, wherein we too would be able to contribute in the future. And in the end, thanks.
Thank you so much, Rising. Thank you so much, Captain Vinay, and thank you so much to this amazing group. I thought it was so incredible, all the questions that you had, and I really, really enjoyed it. I'm very hyped up now, energetic. And I know we will stay connected, Captain Vinay. We have each other's phone numbers. And I would love to stay connected. If traveling is even possible, I'm a traveler, so maybe we can even meet each other physically and see each other's shoes one day and find out if we can combine some things from there. So yeah, let's definitely stay connected. And thanks everyone for this wonderful, for me, morning, for you, afternoon. And I wish everyone a really, really nice weekend as well.
So parting thing is only, Miss Marilyn, when we meet, you got to decide whether it's going to be Udaipur or Chowpatty Beach at Mumbai, where you. Yeah.
I definitely need a beach.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. As per the golden standard, we let the guest walk out first. So thank you so much for your time, and of course, we remain connected. Thanks. Much
Great. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
So, guys, just wanted to. Yes, Miss Marilyn, you can probably move out if you want. Yes, we'll not take more time.
Yeah, we'll stay definitely connected, Vinay, and yeah, for sure. And yeah, thanks for organizing all of this and also managing everything behind the scenes. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye-bye.
So, guys, just wanted to, actually, we had decided to give a presentation, and thank you so much for all in a very agile manner, shifting out to another platform. Otherwise, this could have been a disaster. I'd have got a lot of big bats. Thank you so much for saving my skin. That is to start with. Second was, of course, there are a lot of MILVEST participants here. There are people who've been our other participants. Adish is there in Next Frontiers and others. So, we also wanted to announce that we will be launching our admissions for MILVEST 2. By next week, and of course we wanted to inform people, but now it's at the end of the end of the program. Those who are new to Sambhav Kadam, we have a MILVEST program going on, 30 officers, and we'll be launching the next batch, starting admissions 20th of March. The batch will start 26th of April. So those who are willing to know more about it, they can obviously contact me or Sambhav Kadam, and we'll figure this out. Thanks a lot for your time. For those in MILVEST, of course, we will meet for the evening session now for the Excel classes and the HR classes. I request maximum attendance. Anybody wants to say something is great. Otherwise, we'll be good to go. There in the chat boxes, we are sending some links which can be useful to those who want to know more other than MILVEST participants who are not from the MILVEST. If they'd like to know more about MILVEST 2 or about Sambhav Kadam, there are some actionable links in the chat right now. You can take that on, please. Anybody from MILVEST or any other participant who want to say something?
No, sir.
Great. So then, yeah. Hi, Adish. Good to see you here.
Thank you, sir.
So then we are at the end of the program then, and all the MILVEST participants will see each other in the evening. Excel starts today. Yep.
Sir, link for Excel.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Link for Excel is there in the flock.
Okay.
Is there on the
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yes, Shashikant, you can hold on for a minute if you want.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to say anything. All right.
Okay, great. Hi, Yashwant. Nice to see you here. I think you just logged off. Yashwant, I think you're the same one we've spoken earlier.
I think these must be participants who probably have logged out for a minute away from us.
Okay.
So I'll close the session.
I think we can close the session. Thanks everyone for being here. Thank you.